In this video, you're going to meet legendary comic book collector Jeff Williams. I've had him on the show before, and he's back to tell us more about what he's learned in the past 6 decades of collecting comic books and show us some of his amazing comic book collection. So sit back, pop some popcorn, grab some bags and boards, whatever you want to do, and enjoy this little interview with Jeff Williams. We also have the brand new giveaways for this month. We're giving away the Something's Killing the Children #1 in a 9.8 for the newsletter over at brycecomics.com. And that's where you get first access to new inventory, tons of new stuff just listed, and more on the way. I am always buying. If you're interested in selling, shoot me an email to brycecomics@gmail.com, and I'll shoot you an offer and get you paid quick. We also have a new giveaway this month here on the YouTube channel. We're giving away the first appearance of Silk in a 9.8. All you have to do is subscribe, comment, and like. Sit back and enjoy this awesome video with Jeff Williams. Well, Jeff, thank you for coming back. Welcome.
Thank you, Bri. It's really great to be with you again and your audience as well.
Yeah. I've just been so busy with running the business and packing, listing, shipping, shooting offers, and everything that goes into running a business. It's nice to just take a beat and reminisce and go down memory lane about.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about this expensive old paper that we both love so much.
It's an addiction, brother. I'm telling you.
Why don't you start by just introducing yourself and just telling us a little bit about your history with the hobby for those that missed the first interview that we did.
Sure. Jeff Williams, I've been collecting since 1965. Mom worked in a store, so to keep me quiet, she gave me comic books. So I started to buy comic books on a regular basis around that FF 44, 45 pop art. And I can remember having a job where I would unhook the bundles, right? Snip the bundles, take off the newspaper, put the old ones in a drawer and put the new ones on the rack. So I distinctly remember having a whole stack of Silver Surfer #1s just printed, right? Taking one to keep nice and put away and taking one to read. And I was 7 years old. I don't know how I intuitively knew how to do that at age 7, but I just did. And so all the way through high school, my job was to put up the books. So that's how I got hooked. My dad bought a Spidey 1 for me. It was my first book for $20. And I've been buying ever since.
Yeah.
And taking some twists and turns along the way.
Yeah. So she gave you comics to keep you quiet. It's like the equivalent of a tablet these days.
Yeah, that was my tablet.
Yeah.
Right? Then when I was 6, those Golden Record reprints came out. And so I remember reading Fantastic Four to the record player, and then it would beep, you turn the page, and that helped me to learn how to read.
Wow. Yeah. So I was curious about that. So when your dad bought you the Spidey 1 for $20, what year was that?
That would have been 69, 68.
Okay.
And
so
that really got me going in the back issue phase. Prior to that, I was just buying them new, but now I was interested in back issues.
Right. So, I mean, so that was about 5 or 6 years after Spidey 1 came out. It was up to $20.
Yeah.
I was curious about that because I'm 39 years old. And so by the time I was of the age to be able to buy stuff off the rack, we were well into the 90s. And so, I mean, it was just a different world. You're buying off the rack was pretty much most of the Silver Age, which just a stark dichotomy there of like the difference between, the generations and stuff.
One of the things that I mentioned to you is that when we were kids in the 60s collecting comic books, unless it was published in Marvel Tales or Marvel Collector's Item Classics, you didn't know what a book looked like. And so when Overstreet came out, there wasn't a lot of comic shops. There were some, but when Overstreet came out, you would race to see what certain covers look like. So there was no Gerbers, obviously no internet, right? So you're dependent on Marvel to put out the reprint or for it to come into the Overstreet or to find it at your comic shop. So one of your commenters mentioned last time what was my favorite comic. And it was I'll send you pictures of these later. Yeah. But my buddy and I were going through this stack of FFs. We're like 9 years old. We're at the comic shop. And we came across this one, the FF 28. And neither one of us had ever seen that before. And so we both grabbed it at the same time and had a tug of war over who saw it first.
Yeah.
But that's something that you really don't think about today, that, you know, we didn't know what they looked like.
Right.
And so what a huge advantage there is now to have the internet and all the cons and the shows, because we didn't have any of that. So
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to talk about, if we could, is just looking at some of the history of Marvel Comics. I collect different comics, but Silver Age Marvel is my wheelhouse.
Right.
And one of the things I've enjoyed starting to collect, just dabbling, I wouldn't say collecting, is the pulps, right?
Mm.
Because that started it all. Buck Rogers starts sci-fi, Conan starts, sword and sorcery magazines. Doc Savage and Shadow influence our superheroes today. Kazar was a pulp, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and so I've started to doubt. They're grading those now, so I bought a few. I have a few, and one thing I want to show you guys is this is the first pulp that ever showed the Marvel Comics logo.
Oh, wow.
So this is Marvel Science Stories #1. I believe
Whoa.
it's 1939. And,
So
and
can
so
I ask where do you source these? Because that is, I mean, I know there's eBay, but
right.
where do you shop for pulps?
Uh, I went to the pulp convention to buy that.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a Chicago area has something called the Windy City Pulp Show, and it's pulps and magazines.
Oh,
So I
wow.
try to go to that every year. It's a really good show. Jim
Wow.
Stranko walking around like he's a normal guy,
Yeah.
you know. But Martin Goodman is the guy who was a publisher, and his boss, the company went bankrupt, and he bought the company. And his boss went off and started MLJ, Archie. I'll show you a couple of those later, but he took over and he had some innovative ideas. And one of them to start using pulps. So that's the first time the Marvel logo appears. Interesting story about him. I don't know if your listeners are aware, but Martin Goodman, he's the one who starts Red Circle, which becomes Timely, which becomes Atlas, which becomes Marvel. He's the guy that hires Simon and Kirby. He's the guy that hires Stan Lee. I mean, he's a really important figure in comic books. In 1937, he and his wife get married, and they have tickets on the Hindenburg. They can't find seats together, so they decide to take alternative route home. And of course, had they been on the Hindenburg, they would have died
Oh,
because we all know that catastrophe. What happened? There's no Marvel Comics at that point,
oh my
right?
gosh.
What
Wow.
happened? Is there a Jack Kirby? Is there a Stan Lee? If Martin Goodman gets on the Hindenburg, that's an
Wow.
interesting story, right? But this is a pulp that's got some Schomburg art in it,
Oh my God.
classic cover, and so already we're starting to see the connection between the pulps and the comics, right? When you've got
Yeah.
Schomburg writing in that, and this last one I'll show you. These are all, by the way, in immaculate condition, which is really rare for pulps.
That's what I was
Usually they're
noticing.
kind of, but these were perfect. And this is Marvel Stories #1, 1940, the second set, but it's got a Human Torch ad in it for Marvel Mystery.
Mm,
So it's making a connection between the pulps and the Timely run, which is about to start, or which has started rather,
right.
but it hasn't been around very long. And so Torch is encouraging the pulp readers to buy Marvel Mystery Comics. So that's an interesting bit of nostalgia there.
Yeah. So if you can send me a picture of that ad.
Yeah, all of them. Everything I show you today, I'll text you a picture of.
Yeah, that'd be great. So inside of those pulps, is it mostly text stories, and then every
Yeah,
once in a
pretty
while,
much. There are
yeah,
some illustrations, like you can find a Schomburg illustration, and you know, um, in there, and I've seen ads for exciting comics in there. And one of the
yeah,
pulps I have has an ad for exciting #1. I
wow,
bought an exciting comic with me. This is exciting comics, really old golden age book.
Hmm.
Uh, you don't see them in this condition. So
No.
like if this was ever, this is Max Plested cover. If this was ever graded, it would obviously be the highest graded comic on the census.
Yeah, yeah.
Just amazing.
We just got a collection, a decent raw book collection with a lot of the Silver Age stuff. I'm talking about a business partner of mine that I've been partnering with to do raw book collections because I'm actually going to do a whole video about our partnership and stuff because I work 60 hours a week just processing slabs. I just don't
Oh,
have the time to do raw books. But I met somebody, it's a match made in heaven, and we've done three deals so far. Um,
awesome.
but the reason I brought it up is that all of the Silver Age stuff from his from this collection is really high grade. Some of it's even 9.8, 12 centers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but some of them, but once you get farther back, the quality goes down, and just when
Of
you get back
course.
to the golden age, they're just
Always the way it is.
low
Always.
grade.
Yeah.
But one of the books that they had in there is I don't you probably can't see it, but it's I'll send you a copy and I'll put it on the screen. It's Top Notch 22. You familiar with that book? It's the
Really with top notch.
it's got Black Hood on the cover, but it's the first ad for Archie. And
Oh,
it's
I'm
got a
familiar with that book. Yeah.
yeah, it's got a full
Very
page
familiar with
ad.
that book.
So yeah, super excited that that one came in, but it's probably a 1.5 or a 2.
Yeah.
And so to see Golden Age stuff like you just put up in the
That,
near mint range is
that
just
is an underrated book. I mean, just think how significant that is. Speaking of Archie, I've got a couple rare Archies I can show you. I never used to correct Archies. I would just read them for fun as a kid. But, once I pretty much finished my Silver Age run, I can either just upgrade or I could start collecting other things. And I chose to diversify my collection, start to collect other things. This is a piece that I really enjoy. This is a really early Archie Pep
yeah.
comic, 38. This is a Alex Schomburg cover.
Oh wow.
Not sure how many Pep covers have Schomburg, but not too many.
Hey,
Um, Let me know where to hold it. I don't know if this hold this up or down or
it looks like your camera automatically zooms, so if you just hold
okay.
it, yeah, in front
Yeah.
of your face, yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
that's a
cool.
beautiful rare. That's a really rare Pep. And
Yeah, I
then of
just
course, yeah.
don't pull out. You're not going to pull out a Pep 22, are you?
No, but this one's cool. It's first Archie cover,
Oh,
and that's a hard to find comic. I'm working on
wow.
Archie 50 right now. That if I get it, it'll be the best copy in the world. So I'm trying to get that.
Of
Um,
what? Of which one?
Archie 50,
Okay.
Patty headlights cover. So anyway, that's cool. So you just let the road, take you where it's going to take you, right? And have fun. That's the thing for me. For you, it's a business.
Right.
For me, I just want to have fun and
Yeah.
enjoy the hunt, right? And you enjoy the hunt too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's I mean it's I don't like to talk about it too much because it's very unrelatable. I mean, the only people that can relate to my experience are dealers, and that's a small percentage of people that watch the show. So I don't talk about it too much, but I mean it's an absolute blessing to be able to mix the two because it started as a hobby and a joy and a love, and then turned into a business, and now it will when I go back when I retire, it will go back to just a hobby. And that's
Exactly.
what I'm really interested to see how it evolves having spent, however many years I do this in the business side of it, like how's it going to affect my collecting after it? It's actually one of the things I was curious to talk to you about is grading. And I mean, you hold up these pulps that you can actually look inside and you can find something that it's not going to say on the label that there's an ad for Exciting Comics #1 inside. It's not going to say that. And I mean, maybe it might say that, but my point is, how did grading affect your journey of collecting and what is your relationship now with grading? Because I see you have a lot of raws.
Yeah, I have a lot of graded books too. Steve Borak is a really good friend of mine.
Mm,
And so we've been close for decades. And when he started that, um, I was just excited about it. And one of the first books graded there was that X-Men 98, that X-Men number 198, that I had the curator collection that I had pedigreed. I didn't find the collection, but I pedigreed the curator collection, working with CGC and stuff. And so what I enjoyed about it was back in the day, there was a lot of people that were selling books that were restored,
mm,
misrepresented, and this really removed a lot of those questions
right,
for the collector and protected the collector and also protected the book. Some books you just don't want damaged. I'm sure everything I've showed you at some point will be encapsulated. Since I'm not selling it, I'm not in a hurry to encapsulate it,
right,
but I'm sure I will at some point because it enhances the value. And that was the other thing we found out how rare. So my X-Men number 198 for a while was the only one in the world until the Pacific Coast was graded. And so that gives us a census, which lets us know that, hey, there's only 11 copies of this PEP, whatever, how rare a book is.
right.
Um, so yeah, I've had a good experience. If you search the internet, I think it was their 10th anniversary. They got a quote from me as a collector,
Yeah,
um, raving about the company
yeah.
in advertisement. And I still think they're the best out there. I don't think any company's perfect. Sometimes I don't know where the strike zone is anymore with CGC. But I think it's benefited the hobby.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's everything up.
it's undeniable that it absolutely revolutionized the hobby as far as values and entry being the entry level to get into collecting now is anybody. You don't have to worry about the grade, I mean, so for those that doubt that it was a good thing for the hobby are just uneducated because I mean, it's undeniable what it's done for it. But, that doesn't mean that, every single comic book needs to be graded. It doesn't mean that, one company, I don't even, want to go too far down that rabbit hole, um, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely revolutionized the hobby. I'm curious to know what you think as far as you probably have a lot of friends that have been in the hobby like you before grading was even a thing. Do
Yes.
you as far as the census goes, like when you say there's 10 copies of that PEP or whatever, because it's what's on the CGC census,
I don't know what the copy number is, but it's not
something
many.
like
16 maybe.
something like that, yeah. How many would you estimate, or would you think are out there raw? Do you think there's a lot of collections still with, I'm curious to know your thoughts on Golden Age and Silver Age. Like, for example, Amazing Spider-Man 1. Do you think that most of the copies have been graded at this point, or do you think that there's still a plethora of raw copies out there for Silver Age?
For Spider-Man 1, I think there probably is more out there raw than we think. I mean,
Mhm.
I know of individuals who have like 6 copies that are
Right.
raw. I think it's out there. I think the farther back you go, the more scarce it is. Like the exciting I showed you, right? There's just a limited supply of that. When you talk about books like this, Planet copy, um, this is Lily Renee, um, World War II survivor. Started to collect her books just because I liked her story,
Mm.
of being a survivor and being one of the oldest living golden age artists. She was over 100 when she passed.
Wow.
But to be a woman in that industry was really rare, right? And so uh, I think books from this period, right? When we talk about the the 40s and 50s and the golden age, I think truly are rare, and there's not going to be a lot of things surfacing. But the closer we get to the Bronze Age, of course, then I think things are much more plentiful as far as we're going to find many more collections with Giant Size and X-Men 1 and X-Men 94. I don't think Fantasy 15 we're going to find anything close like with Spider-Man 1.
Hmm.
Just because Spider-Man 1, by the time that comes out, all the kids are looking for it because they like Fantasy 15, right? So yeah, it depends on the book, I guess, and the period. Yeah. But the Golden Age stuff is tough. It's tough to find.
Yeah. That kind of leads into this question that I'm curious your thoughts on. What are your thoughts on the longevity of the hobby as far as, new people coming in, and you hear a lot of people talk about that maybe the interest for these collectibles is going to go down, and that there's not enough new people coming in. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think obviously it'll morph and change to some degree, but I will tell you this: my granddaughters are 3 and 4, and all they ever talk about is Spider-Man, uh, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Hulk. I mean, they're watching all these cartoons on Disney, and they're watching the movies. The church where I pastor, I'll see kids every Sunday with superhero shirts on, right? Secret Wars #8 or whatever it is. And so there's an interest there. And when you grow up and you start to have funds, the odds of those kids becoming comic collectors are pretty good, right? So because Hollywood's still making the movies, because Disney's still running the movies and the cartoons, and they're still making the toys, they're still making the clothing and all the other accessories, there's still a strong interest in the young generation for these characters. And I think as long as there is that, there's going to be an interest in our hobby.
I agree. I don't have any concerns with it at all. It's just exactly what you said. Once you get to the age where you have money, disposable income, if you at all cared about Miles Morales when you were a kid, you're going to trace it back, and it's going to go back to Spider-Man, and then you're going to be interested in the vintage comics. And I don't have any concerns as far as the longevity of the hobby. So I'm not sure why people, get too hung up on that. But I agree with you on that front.
Oh, I'll tell you a story. My children really love the turtles, right? We used to play turtles all the time. I was a shredder. I always lost. But I bought them turtles ones for $40 a piece. And I said, someday when kids your age are older, they're going to want to buy this. And it's going to drive the price up, and it's going to be worth a lot of money. So my son kept his copy really nice. And in 2006, he sold it for a few $1,000 and used the money to buy Apple stock at like $65 a share.
Oh, wow.
And, that's exactly what happened to that book. And so today, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales, those kind of characters, when those kids get older, yeah, they're going to pursue that. Some will pursue that. And so those prices are going to go up. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of advice would you have for collectors these days? Having a wealth of wisdom that you do and all of these decades of experience, what are some words of wisdom you can offer to new collectors or old collectors alike?
Sure. When you're buying something, be patient. Don't just take the first copy that comes along. If you want a high grade book, be patient for it. Or sometimes you can find books that are incredibly high grade that are they need to be pressed. Let's put it that way. They've not been. You can still find them and upgrade them. but you want to try to get books that have white pages. You want to try to get books where the cover registry is aligned, right? So it's the wrap isn't all distorted. And you want to have them nice and clean. I think a date stamp is fine. Like I'm into date stamps. So this is a beautiful book. It's a Spidey 4 and it's got a date stamp. And, I love date stamps. So I bought this book. So sometimes you just want to buy what you enjoy, right? So if you enjoy date stamps, if you want to go for pedigree books or recognized by CGC, this is the Fantast. So speaking of Spider Gwen, right? The first Gwen Stacy, incredibly high grade book. So look for pedigrees. Maybe you'd like to own a Mile High or a Curator. You can't hold them all, but maybe you'd like to have one example of a Mile. That's a fun thing to do is chase pedigrees. Chase file copies. There's a file copy of Space Ghost 1, right? Nice. Gold key, rare book, hard to find. That's a fun thing to do. White pages. You want to look for white pages. Here's some CGC. This is FF5. Wow. It's a really hot book right now. You can see the white pages there. I used to own the Slobodian copy of this. It was a 9.4. Wow. I'll take this over the 9.4 that I used to have. I mean, this obviously would upgrade. I've never pressed it. But my friend Bob Storms has been selling a 9.6 copy of this, which is amazing. Wow. And I was holding it up to Bob's 9.6. And I'm like, maybe the 9.6 is better, but not a whole lot better. Right. Certainly not $300,000 better, right? Right. But if you are looking for a 9.6, Bob has one. But I was just patient waiting for this book. And then as soon as I found one that looked like it was what I wanted, I went for it. You want to try to get, white and black. That's big with collective. White, when it's white cover and it's really white, right? It's really white. That brings a premium. So you want to look for, like, this is the X-Men 10. Right? Oh, wow. Yeah. So Azar. This, I think, could upgrade to a 9.8, but it's white pages and it's just bone white color, just gorgeous white color. You want to look for that, right? Because the plan is at some point you have to resell it. Right. So if you can have it clean, good paper, good cover registry, that's going to enhance the value. These two I just got these recently. I had to put them in new holders, but this is Avengers 394. Key Avengers book, really tough in high grade. If you can afford more valuable books, obviously the more valuable, the higher the grade, the more that book is going to appreciate. Okay. So probably over time, all Avengers 3 will appreciate, but the higher the grade Avengers 3 you have, or whatever the book it is, the higher the grade over the long haul, the quicker that's going to appreciate and hold its value. So it just depends on what your budget is. This is another one I've got to put in a new holder, but this is an upgradable Hulk number 285. I used to own a 9.6 copy of this book. And I'm telling you, once I press this book, if I were to press this book, it's probably at least a 9.4. Yeah. I didn't buy it that long ago. Why people don't press books that are dealers, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But I can see clearly what needs to be corrected on that book. And so that's a way, if you're interested in making money, to be patient, to find books that have indentations that can come out and things like that to upgrade. Last book I'll show you is X-Men 4. First mutants here. High grade. It's, I don't know, probably a 9.6. Jeez. You want to look for keys. If you're investing, you want to make money. And contrary to what people said, comics are a good investment. And if you want to make money, go for keys. Go for keys in high grade if you can afford them. with the characteristics I've mentioned and just hold on to them. Now, you can be a dealer like you and flip it, and that's fine. But what I've found is the collector in the long run is a lot better off, because if you're buying keys that are high grade and nice and holding on to them, it's going to appreciate at a higher rate over the years than if you were, look at that X-Men 198. Okay. What's that worth now? 3.5 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many books would you have to flip to make, millions of dollars on a book?
Right. Right.
Right. In other words, the Fantasy 15, my Fantasy 15, not selling it, right? It's sitting in my collection because I think over time it'll appreciate faster, and I'll have more liquidity in the book than if I were to sell it and buy something. I think if I just hold on to it, my Hulk one, same with thing, I just hold on to it. It's going to appreciate faster than I can flip books for, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's definitely, some good food for thought.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was just an
You got my
absolute
dream.
pleasure.
You got my dream job, buddy. I tell you, I'm gonna retire from ministry in a few years. I think I might come work for you.
I mean, yeah, that's the beauty of it. You could do it yourself from your retirement from
Oh yeah.
home, This is an
Oh yeah.
awesome community.
It
So
is. It really is. Appreciate you. Appreciate your listeners. I enjoyed looking at their comments last time, and I hope they enjoy this video. And brother, it's always good to be with you, and wish you nothing but the best.
thank you, Jeff. Thanks again.
Welcome.
All right.